Welcome to this afternoon's session. It's been an amazing day. My name is Peter Brad, and I'm the Chief Evangelist with Miro. And I have the pleasure today to invite John Lazzara from Telstra up onto the stage and share his story around design in business decision-making. So let's welcome John. Awesome. Thanks, John. So I'm a Chief Evangelist. John is a Chief Evangelist for Miro at Telstra. Are there any other Chief Evangelists in the room? Who else? Are you after my job? Yeah. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is John has created some awesome content, and we're going to email that out after the session. So if you take out your phones, this will bring up a little page, and just put in your work email address. And then if you want to get that content, we will email that to you afterwards. And that's all from me. So I'm going to hand over to you, John, to kick us off.
Amazing.
See you afterwards.
All right, thank you. Can you all hear me? Yes? Fantastic. Thanks for having me. Let's go to the slide. Oh. Here we go. So my name's John, obviously. I'm the head of digital experience design at Telstra. Great title, snazzy, but what does it actually mean? Well, my management team, the designers, and myself, we oversee UX, visual design, UI design, and copy design throughout Telstra's digital channels and all of the applications that we produce as well. And today I thought what I would do is share our 5-year journey of where we've been and where we've come from. Because there's a lot of talk about design getting a seat at the table. And when we first started out, we definitely did not have a seat. But we've gone through the journey and we've landed in a pretty good place. It's not perfect, but we definitely get to have a voice. So what I thought I'd do today is share with you our design management framework, where we developed our actual design practice. I'll share with you a design operating model that has got me into more executive doors than anything I've done in my entire career. And also, if we've got time, I'll share with you a workshop structure to align stakeholders who aren't agreeing. David Bradford put this together, our UX manager, and it's really, really effective. So how does that sound? I'm so glad you agree because I haven't prepared anything else. Get through the slides. So here we go. So 5 years ago, on my very first week at Telstra, Telstra was moving from a centralised model to a decentralised model. They were moving to agile at scale. So they were moving from a design team who was like a centralised agency. The work would come in through like a traffic manager, and would flow through UX, visual design, and copy, go back out to the POs. POs wouldn't like it, it'd be sent back, go through the design process again, and back and forth, and it was highly ineffective. Moving towards a decentralised model where you had full stack teams, so you had the PO, UX, visual design, copy, and developers, agile at scale. I think you're aware of it. So what we found was there were some real issues in that first week that I discovered, and that was that design was really seen as a tick box for delivery. It was not seen as a source of knowledge for business decisions at all, because it was a centralised agency and it was a silo, and we didn't get to have those conversations. The next thing that I noticed was there was no formal design process at all, and deadlines were prescribed, and most of you will probably relate to that. And design was always seen as being late, and I'm sure you relate to that as well. And we have an even worse situation whereby just because we'll say 2 weeks late from a prescribed deadline, the developers would just produce a design themselves and deliver it, which was actually shocking. And there was no design system, there was no style guide. And the issue with that was there was a lot of duplication of work. So every time one of the designers was designing something, they were designing it from scratch and using their own personal design system. So there was no consistency for our customers. And within all of this, all I could see was opportunity. And we needed to get focused. And these were the 4 focus areas that we leaned into. So we wanted to secure a position at that decision-making forum. We wanted to secure budgets so that we could build out a design practice, because building out a design practice requires funds. We wanted to set up our design foundations, so design systems, style guides, etc. And lastly, we wanted to educate the team at scale. So when I started 5 years ago, there was 80 designers, and they were all designing individually. There was no sharing of work in the way that it's done today. Now we have 200 designers. So the first thing that we asked ourselves is, well, what are the categories? What should we actually lean into? So what were the 6 pillars that we needed to lean into to develop a world-class design team within a corporate structure? You know, we're not an agency that gets really creative. You know, our restriction is Telstra is a behemoth, massive teams, lots of process. How do we fit into that? How do we build a team around that? And these are the 6 things that we leaned into. So, team and culture. What are we doing around the mindset of our people? How do we hold on to the talent that we have in our teams? What are the design standards? So what are we doing around accessibility? What are we doing around building out a design system? Superior partnerships. Who are the people that we actually need to build a relationship with, understand their objectives, show them the value of design? What strategic activity are we going to lean into to build out our practice? On reflecting on that, we built out a design research team. We got funding for it. We're now looking at AI. We've got Scott Collins, who's our content manager over there. He's leading AI when it comes to developing content. And what better place to actually look at that is within the design team, within the content team. And then team operations. So if I'm the head of design, we have a person named Connie, who's our operations manager, and she's the heart of our team. She makes sure that whenever someone comes on board, they've got a Mac. They can log into their systems. She does all the contracts. So I needed someone to manage that. And what we did was, with each of those pillars, we actually ran a workshop with the leadership team and our seniors. We said, okay, over the last 6 months, what should we celebrate? What have we done in terms of team and culture? And in the same workshop, of course, what are the ideas? What are we doing next? What's left on the table for us to further develop? And this then became part of our plan, our yearly plan. And we ran a should do, must do framework, prioritised what we were going to do, and developed out that plan. And then we socialised that with all the executives. And they were surprised. They were like, wow, you guys are organised. Damn right we are. Because we're building a practice for you. And by the way, we need some funds. Let's take a drink. So, I actually can't remember whether this came first or the pillars came first, but we needed a team vision. And what you'll notice is that this is an internal vision, not an external vision. Drive customer-focused business decisions through our design practice. Everything had to line up with that, with whatever activity we did in terms of building out our practice. A lot of the CX, UX visions that you see are very customer-focused, surprise and delight customers. But I knew that if we went with that and we didn't have our foundation and we didn't reflect on this vision, we would never get there in getting the time to actually produce beautiful experiences. I promised you an operating model that's got me into executive doors, and this is it. I'll go through each in a moment. But help me out here. Executives want 2 things. Can I have some people volunteer up? What do you think those 2 things are?
Time and money.
Time and money. Yes, they want sales. They want conversion. Not only do they want sales conversion, they want service conversion. They want their service app to actually help customers to task complete. Absolutely. What's the other thing they need? So they want conversion and they want sports cars? No. They want cost out of the business. They want efficiency. They want no wastage. They want process. They want you to be organised. And that's what this answers. So the design plan. So the design plan is basically, we looked at the double diamond framework and the stages there. You can see those in the blue rectangles down the bottom. And what we wanted was a bit of a playbook for the team. So this is where the individual designer chooses how they are going to solve this problem. What activities are they going to undertake? What artifacts are they going to produce for their design? So they own it. And what we did was we got our senior leadership team to produce 40 of these frameworks. It's almost like a design system of how you design. So there's a framework on how to do a reverse brief. There's frameworks on how to run a workshop for ideation. There's a framework on research plans and a template for that, because when we first started, everyone was just making it up as they went along. Big waste of time. Use the same one, use the same template, and develop it every year. And that's what we do. And what this did is it actually created a language. It created a language with the designers and the POs, because when the designers said, right, I want to do some usability testing, I want to run an ideation workshop, these are the templates, they understood from the last sprint what that meant, and they engaged in that and allowed it to happen, and it created this language within the teams. And you have to remember that they were siloed at some point, and they kind of didn't like each other. Creating a language brings cultures together. So that was the design plan. Design critique, great, I'm glad these slides are in order. So design critique, I'm sure you all run them. We run them once a week and for each channel. So the My Telstra app has one once a week. There's a UX sales one for the website that's once a week, and we have a few others. There's 4 actually. And what this does is it really drives culture within your design team, because they're out in their full stack teams, and then they come together. And this is their time to create together and give feedback. And what's really important about this is, and we do this on Miro, by the way, so all of our journeys or flows are built on Miro, and we just use the Rosebud Thorn methodology to give feedback on a certain design. And there's a if you did the QR code at the start, you'll get this framework. If not, just ping me on LinkedIn and I'll send it to you. And what's really important about this ritual is that it actually allows design leaders to be design leaders every week, because they go to these forums and they're helping their fellow designers with direction around the design. So it makes them better leaders. And the people who are learning are both the designer themselves who's showing off their design, they're getting feedback, and it's actually the leader who's learning to give feedback as well. And that's how you build the muscle of design leadership and succession planning, or how we did it anyway. And it removes duplication, because during these sessions, what often happens is there's a designer who's developing a pattern, and another designer will say, well, actually, I've designed something fairly similar, in a completely other part of the website, and you should use this as a starting point. So we begin to share files within that forum. Now, if they were completely siloed, you wouldn't get that interaction. And what's worse is customers would see different patterns for the same thing. So it really drives that consistency. And the final one there is senior stakeholder review. And this one blew my mind. So we started this about 4 years ago. And for 2 hours every fortnight on a Friday morning, and we started it with music, so it was good times. Designers would come in and they would actually share their designs with the leadership team. We're talking head of digital, some of the executives from higher up, and of course, the entire digital leadership team. And there are a few rules. The designer who designed the thing presents the thing. So no management presenting the work if they hadn't actually done it themselves. So we had graduates come in and present, which was great. So imagine that muscle, building up the muscle of presenting your work to that forum as a grad, as a junior, mid, senior, leader. Really important. So not only are you getting that connection of a junior learning that skill, but also the head of digital is given the opportunity to share and nurture a junior, reflecting back 30 years ago when they started their career and giving them the opportunity to give advice. So it's a win-win situation, and very feel-good and fuzzy. It's been so successful, we have 4 a week now. As I said, there's 200 designers, so there's a lot of work, right? But imagine the leadership team giving up that amount of time to see design. Because before, when someone was delivering something, it was just a bullet point on a PowerPoint saying, oh yeah, we delivered this feature, tick, great. But did the leaders actually see what it looked like? Did they see what customers were experiencing? No. It was all about delivery back then. Now it's all about the experience. The other rule is that the presentation must be in progress, so maximum 70% complete. So don't go into a room after feedback when it's finished. So it's really great, and of course they love giving their feedback, and they're executives for a reason, right? They've got a lot of experience, and they can also help when you need to escalate. I need more time, I need more budget, I need help with this, I need to speak to this architect. They make it all happen, which is great. So lots and lots of benefits. And of course, no PowerPoint. Ironically, this is PowerPoint. But no PowerPoint in presentations. It had to be actual files. And we use Miro boards, as I mentioned. So the journeys are all on Miro boards, all the designs are in there, and we can just throw our notes directly onto the working file. So it's there when they go the next day and update their work based on the feedback. So really, what this operating model does is it gives ownership of design to the individual designer because there's a methodology, there's templates. Design critique gives learning at scale, which is really important when you've got such a big team and you want to drive consistency, and it brings forward amazing culture. It's so much fun going into those sessions. I don't go in them often enough. And the senior leadership reviews are really important as well because it gives visibility of your great work where it matters the most, because they're the people with the budgets. All right, we're getting there. So homepage and stakeholders. So who here has designed a homepage or a significant landing page? Keep them up. Okay, so look around, see how many hands are there. There's about 100 hands up, I reckon. Was that about the same amount of stakeholders you had in terms of feedback into your homepage design? What is it about homepages that brings everyone out with an opinion and wanting to become a designer? So I want to share something with you. So David Bradford, who's our UX manager, he's absolutely brilliant, and many of you probably know him. Unfortunately, he's not here today, he's on holiday. He did have a ticket and then realised he was going on leave. And we had this project with the Telstra Plus loyalty program, and we wanted to inject that onto the homepage and throughout the website. Big visibility project, really, really important. And all the stakeholders weren't aligning. So they came up with this. And we produce a design, and then we show that design to you, and then we talk about the differences of opinion, and it goes through that cycle. But at the moment, we're in this situation where there's lots of stakeholders. And what we want to do is we want to uncover what the differences are in opinions first, and then go into a design and cycle it that way, which I thought was brilliant. So here's one example of, they had about 20 of these, so there was about 20 patterns that they wanted to check in. And you can see here the current experience, so not this, where we basically just had a link at the top that said My Telstra, which is the loyalty program. Click on it, you go to a landing page. And then what we said was, and obviously this is just a mock-up, is, okay, well, on this, in terms of navigation, we think that you want deep links, so you can go to different parts of the website quickly related to this. And then we got them to vote with those voting tokens. And you can see there that a lot of people agreed, but there were some people who didn't agree. So that opened up the discussion. And out of that discussion, decisions were made which formed the brief. So it's a really great way to do a reverse brief. And as I said, we had about 20 of these patterns on this big Miro board, and it was about a 2-hour workshop, and everyone left feeling heard, and we got the brief that we needed to actually do the work in 2 hours. So thank you, David and team. This is my last slide. So it was funny, when I was talking to Pete and we were talking about this prezzo, I was just telling him the story of the 5 years, and he actually came up with this slide for me, and I think it is absolutely brilliant. And because what he pointed out to me, he said, look, John, there's the executive community and then there's the design community. And what you did was created an identity for both communities to connect. And what that did was it created trust, because we showed them that we're building this practice for them, and we showed them the experience and showcased our juniors, our seniors, our mids doing the work for them. And of course, they participated in that with us. And the reward was budgets. The reward was help when we needed it. And it was absolutely amazing, and the journey's still going for us. And as I said, by no means are we at the final destination. There's always the justification of budgets, the justification of needing more time. But at least we have a voice, and it's because of those frameworks that we went through and the 4 years that we put behind it. So in wrapping up, my only message to you all is, if you want that seat at the table, get organised, pull together your plans, and I'm sure you may already have those. Socialise them with the right people in the right forums, and they will help you to get the seat at the table. And then you'll have that voice to continue the great work that you're doing. Thank you very much.